Fairly. Yeah, I wouldn't say dead draw, but very, very drawish.
Wow, so yeah, the youngster defending tenaciously and getting the Magnus stamp of approval. That's always
yeah. He's making better moves than I'm suggesting. So.
Yeah, it was a perfect day. After yesterday's shaky start, I think I managed to regroup.
Scoring 11 points, Wesley. How have you been able to do that? That is a record in the Meltwater Champions Chess Tour.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, first of all, I was very inspired because Magnus is busy doing other things.
Alireza is a very good opponent for me because I like playing him, always deciding games. And I think the first game I didn't have any problem. I looked at this line yesterday and everything was good, so I equalized immediately and make a sharp draw.
I'm unhappy now, but I think that it was a logical result because Wesley played is very strong, I think. Example, game which I lost, he played fantastic, I think.
Even though the fourth game I was maybe winning at some point, but in those time scrambles, it's difficult to find the best move.
Yeah.
And then, winning the Armageddon game like this is not ideal. I would much prefer to win on the board and on the clock, but I have to take it. It's Armageddon and someone has to win. So.
Alright, hello, it's Sebastian Mihailov again, back with another recap from the Chessable Masters, yet another tournament in the CCT. This time without the world champion Magnus Carlsen. And without the world champion Magnus Carlsen, we have these two finalists here. We have Liem and we have So in the final. But who's going to prevail? Today we will take a look at the first game in this thrilling encounter, and we're gonna see how that went down. So our boy Wesley sticks to his repertoire on Chessable and goes for 1 e4. e5 is a tough nut to crack, so understandably enough, Liem goes for that move. Knight f3, knight c6. Bishop b5, so Wesley does avoid his repertoire for now. In his repertoire, he suggested bishop b4, bishop c4, which takes the game into a completely different direction. But bishop b5, known as the Roy Lopez, is obviously an excellent choice as well. So Liem goes for the standard move. Knight f6 has been also played a lot here, played all the time on top level. Called the Berlin defense. But Liem goes for a6. Bishop a4, knight f6. Attacking the pawn, castles. White's point is that after knight takes, we can play rook e1 and then take back on e5. So Liem goes bishop e7 first. And now we gotta defend the pawn. And Wesley does it by playing d3. So this has sort of been quite a popular move on top level for a long time now, at least a few years. The main line goes rook e1, b5, bishop b3, d6, c3, castles, and then h3 with knight b8, knight a5, and bishop b7 being the main moves in this position. We have a lot of theory. Interesting position, but d3 is also critical, defending the pawn. b5, black gets active queenside play, bishop e3, g6, defending the pawn on e5. And an early a4 by Wesley, sort of forcing a reaction by black here, either rook b8, bishop e7, bishop d7, a lot of different moves here. And Liem goes for bishop d7, which is also what I remember being the main move here. So Wesley goes for c3, castles, and now the bishop moves to c2, because one day black is going to play knight a5 anyway, so you might as well move to c2 right away. And also, with my bishop on c2, I may be considering moves like d4, or even expanding on the queen side with b4 in the near future too. Also, the bishop is just well placed here in general too, defending the pawn on e4. So rook e1 is a typical setup. Black usually sets up his pieces up with g6, bishop f8, bishop g7, and then later on goes for a queenside play with, for example, c5, rook b8, b4. So Wesley goes rook e1. Another typical idea here by Wesley, playing knight b2, bd2, knight f1, knight g3, maneuvering the knight until the strike in the center. Bishop f8, knight f1, and Liem goes to b4, and I think this is a move you want to make sooner or later, going for the typical queen set play, perhaps even thinking about taking on c3, followed by knight a5 and c5. Because if you go knight a5 right away, I have b4, and that can be quite an annoying move to face. Therefore, playing b4 first eliminates that option and is thus a better move in my book. We notice that the bar is still quite even, so well played by both of these guys so far. So knight g3, b takes, b takes. And now Liem, instead of playing a knight a5, he strikes in the center with d5, also a very thematic way to proceed. And Wesley, he reacts with e takes a d5. You want to do that. Let's say I, for example, put my rook in the open b file, then black's just going to take on e4 with a pretty fine position after takes, and there's a weak square on c4, which could be annoying after, for example, knight a5. So you want to take, and also after e takes d5, we apply pressure on the pawn on e5 as well. So knight takes d5, we defend the pawn on c3 with bishop d2, rook b8, taking the open file. What does Wesley do now? He plays a5. It's kind of a peculiar move. Why does he do that? Well, it takes away the a5 square for the knight, it fixes the pawn structure, and we'll be thinking about targeting this pawn in the future. So the knight heads back. Seems like a decent move as well. Bishop a4. Wesley wants to take, followed by knight takes e5. So Liem, he has to defend the pawn with bishop d6. h3 is sort of a natural improving move. Some air for a king. Also knight h4, knight h2, knight g4 ideas might be in the air as well. Knight a7. Liem is getting tired of the bishop on a4. An understandable approach. But Wesley, he does not want this. He goes back. Back with the bishop. And now another point with knight a7 is that it has a more active post on b5, where it's pressuring the pawn on c3. Queen c1 by Wesley. Nice little battery here. Thinking about nasty sacrifices around black's king. Bishop c6, a nice diagonal for the bishop. The knight moves and is ready to cause problems, but we do see now that the bar is going in Liem's favor. What has Wesley missed? The bishop returns. That's a reasonable defending move. e4 is the more concrete, with the point of taking on g3, when I think the game is rather complicated after this position. I think this position is better than the game, because black has ideas such as queen d5, quite annoying. Knight e4 could come. Black is just more active, and is thus slightly better. Bishop f8, very interesting position. The knight jumps to f5. Now, definitely, black needs to worry about a few things here. Queen d5 is a natural move. Threatening mate, which must be defended. The queen heads back. Rook a4, the bar is going down yet again. But where is the rook heading? Perhaps to h4. Knight d6. d4 by Wesley. Wow. Surprising. That was his idea. Queen a7. And the rook heads back. What happens if I just grab the pawn on d4? Well, we won't know, because Liem played queen a8. If we take, I think the position is just very complicated. For example, bishop h3, with the trick that if you take, bishop h7 check. So black probably needs to move the queen somewhere, like f4, and well, the bar says that black's better, but I think it's still quite complex. But Liem goes for queen a8, and Wesley blocks the diagonal with f3. E takes d4, c takes d4, knight b5, attacking the pawn, and also potentially jumping with the knight to d4. White has to defend the pawn, but now the knight stands at f5, and you know what that means. That means that there could be sacrifices in the air. Stuff is happening. Bishop e3, and then c5, and we see that the bar is jumping really high out of nowhere. c5, a huge mistake by Liem. But why is that? Pause the video and maybe you'll find the solution yourself. Instead, a better move would be to get rid of that knight, and then, for example, play g6 to neutralize the pressure. Because I can't take here, because if I take, then we gotta take here, takes, and then knight takes d4, and black is incredibly active, and his white's king is also too exposed here. So I think black is just winning. So g6 would have been a better move, but instead c5 comes. But that is a big mistake because of the blow. Knight takes h6, g takes h6, bishop takes h6. Wesley doesn't miss this. Look at Liem's king. It's in big trouble. Rook takes e5, d takes e5, c4 check, king h2. The king moves out of the way. And now there's queen g5 coming any second, and Liem is in big trouble. Bishop h7, knight h7, bishop takes f8, knight takes f8, queen g5 check, knight g6, knight h5, and everything is falling apart here. Liem can't defend, and after queen d4, bishop takes g6, queen takes a1, bishop takes f7, king takes f7, and queen f6. Liem throws in the towel as king e8, knight g7, or king g8, queen g7 is mate. An unfortunate start to the final for Liem. And indeed, it was too tough for him to come back, and Wesley prevailed in the end. A true beast in this format. So congratulations to him, but also congratulations to Liem for a well-executed tournament. I've been Sebastian Mihailov, and I will see you in the next recap of the Champions Chess Tour.
Just want to show you. Yeah, it's very heavy. Here it is. The prize you receive for winning the tournament.
Yeah, that seems very heavy.
It is very heavy. So I know you have your prize cabinet behind you. Can you find room for this in there?
Oh, yeah. Definitely, yeah. There's a lot of room, and it will definitely fit well here. There's a lot of room. I think it will definitely go into one of my most prestigious trophies, like the Grand Chess Tour and also the Olympiad trophies.
Cool. All right, so this one will be shipped over to you, Wesley, for winning the tournament. Your third tournament victory in the tour.